Well, good evening and welcome to Channel 8 Sports, where tonight we come to you from Madison Central High School, where the East Brunswick High School Bears take on Madison Central in a key GMC football game. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, and I'm joined once again by Phil Hill and Jim Allinder. And gentlemen, this could be a key game in the GMC.
Most certainly can. Madison Central coming off a big win last week, and East Brunswick, their first test in the conference. East Brunswick, after testing the two South Jersey Powers, Cherokee and Brick, end up 1-1, and a good win last week against Brick. But I have a feeling that East Brunswick fans are trying to find out what is the real East Brunswick team. During the early parts of the season, everybody was saying they're #1 in the county. I don't know if they quite played like they're #1 in the county to this point, but this game will be a good test to see just where they are, John.
Okay, Jimmy?
John, I had thought that after the first two games against the so-called South Jersey Powers that this might be a little bit of a breather, but then we find out that Madison Central beats South Plainfield by a score of 45-17. So much for breathers. This is going to be a good test for the Bears just to see exactly where they are in their game. I talked to Marcus Borden before the game. Everybody is healthy, remembering last week that Mark Harmon had limped off the field with what we thought was a hamstring pull, but as it turns out, it's just a cramp. So my understanding is everybody is pretty healthy for this game.
All right, and you see East Brunswick's going to receive the opening kickoff. They'll be in the visitors' white jerseys. Madison Central in the dark blue or dark home jerseys.
John, I got some starting lineups for the game if we have a moment here. Offensively for East Brunswick, Ramon Trent, number 3, is going to be at one wide receiver. And Kevin Maloney, number 12, excuse me, not Kevin Maloney, but Joe Giroux, number 18, is going to be at another wide out. Backfield's going to have Brian Forte, number 16, at quarterback. Running backs, of course, are Joe DeVito and Mark Harmon. DeVito wearing 22 and Harmon wearing number 34. On the line, 56, Dave Clark will be at one tackle, along with Gene Cameron, number 59. Rosario Chetta, 61, will be at another guard. Don Solfolcanic, 62, will be at another tackle. Center will be Tom Thorpe. And also Dave Potter will be the the tight end, number 85.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Very nice evening here at Madison Central, although the first thing that hits you when you look out onto the field is the condition of the field. And if you've been following articles in the Sentinel over the past year, you know that this has been a source of controversy here, both for Madison Central and Cedar Ridge High Schools. Anyway, we're about ready to go with the action. East Brunswick has Mark Harmon back deep along with Joe DeVito and Kevin Maloney. And we're about ready to get this game underway. This is going to be Maloney off his shoulder pads, and he's going to have to fall on it at about his 15-yard line. You're going to have to bear with us on the yard markers. It's not clearly marked out here on the field. They have yard markers against the fence, but generally they are blocked by the fans and players.
John, let me say something else about the conditions. I noticed that, well, I think fans could notice that the lights are just a little bit lower than they are in East Brunswick. That could be a problem for some of the receivers as they look into the lights looking for a pass reception.
Okay, the Bears 1st and 10. Forte, delayed handoff to Harmon. He's got a big hole. Harmon close to a first down.
John, it's good to see Mark Harmon running that as well as he has. You remember last week we thought that he had a serious injury. We thought it might have been a hamstring. It turns out it was just a cramp. Already he's picked up almost as much yardage rushing as he's picked up in the first 2 games. It's good to see him running.
Phil, East Brunswick's going to have to establish its rushing game, huh?
Definitely so.
Let's spot the ball at about the East Brunswick 31. 1st and 10 for the Bears. Forte, handoff to DeVito. And DeVito will pick up about 3 yards.
I'll tell you, the offensive line seems to be kicking out a lot better than we've seen them in the first 2 games already. And they have some semblance of a running game going okay already.
2nd and about 7 for the Bears. Ball close to their own 40-yard line. Forte, first pass of the evening, he pumps. Looking deep for Trent. And overthrown.
Just a little bit long. That time, Forte had a little bit more pass protection than he did against either Brick or Cherokee. But I'll tell you what, Madison Central does have a strength in its line. There are a number of big players, including Pete Jessup, who is about 6'3", 260,
wow.
and he's one to watch.
Oh.
It'll be 3rd and 7. East Brunswick in an I formation, 2 men wide right. Forte on a delay draw to Harmon. And Harmon will be short of the first down, just shy of the 45-yard line.
Still in all, I think you have to be somewhat impressed with how the offense has started out. They're not lethargic like they were against Brick Township.
You're exactly right, Jimmy. They're doing some running, much more running than we've seen in the first 2 games.
All right, Forte will do the punting. 4th and about 2.5. And Forte gets a good kick, high and deep. Fielded around the 8-yard line. And that was number 7, Brian Donnelly.
Okay, let's set you up defensively for East Brunswick. Billy Brunig, number 2, captain, and Kevin Maloney, number 12, along with Harmon, will be in the defensive backfield. St. Ugar, 42, Matt Miller, 46, will be the linebackers. And on the line will be 52, Anthony DiGiovanni, 55, John Flynn, 63, Mike Hack, 75, Sean Smith, 88, Shannon Holcomb, and number 91, Mark Flynn.
Ball is at the Madison Central 26, their first possession of the quarter and of the game. Walsh is at quarterback, hands off inside to Linsanti.
Well, John, Madison Central is running the wishbone offense, and everyone knows the key to the wishbone is to get your fullback started. If you can control a fullback, then you can perhaps stop the wishbone.
I call it Santi. I think it was actually Angelucci. Picked up about 4. Let's call it 2nd and 6 for Madison Central. Using that wishbone offense.
I have to tell you, with this wishbone, there's a lot of deception. It's sometimes difficult to see who has the ball. Sometimes the quarterback keeps it, goes out on an option. Gentlemen, I was looking at some of the stats, and I noticed that on the season, East Brunswick has a 3-1 margin in penalties over the competition, having 18 penalties versus 6. So I know that is something that that Marcus wants to minimize.
All right, let's call it 3rd and 2. Ball around the 35-yard line of Madison Central. And Walsh will keep it. He'll pick up the first down.
I tell you, with the wishbone offense, if it is clicking, there's an awful lot that can be done. They fake the dives into the line. Sometimes they give it to the fullback. They can give it to the second back. The quarterback can keep it. So if you can't control that fullback and stand him up to throw him out of sync, you're going to have problems.
1st and 10 for the Spartans. And we're going to have movement against Madison Central, so that'll move them back 5 yards.
All right, that was number 72, John Santora, on the right side. So the first penalty goes to Madison Central.
I wonder if Madison Central is going to run this wishbone like they ran the Veer last year. Remember last year we talked about the high-risk offense, how they have to pitch the ball, and they played practically the whole game without pitching it.
Yeah,
so maybe
true.
they're running a conservative wishbone.
It's now 1st and 15 for the Spartans. Ball just shy of their 35-yard line. No score, first period action. Handoff inside. And you're right, Jim, it's tough picking up ball carriers. I think that was Scott Flynn.
Number 44.
That was Glenn Ampagna, John.
Right.
Okay.
He's a fine player, a all-conference linebacker from last year who is doing some of the running this year.
Down to 7 minutes in this first period. 2nd and about 12. Walsh is going to put it in the air. He's got a man open. That's Donnelly.
He's one to watch. Number 7, Brian Donnelly, just a sophomore, and was the quarterback on Madison Central's unbeaten freshman team of a year ago. As a matter of fact, there's a number of players that are going to be contributing to Madison Central this year that are from that unbeaten club, including one coming into the game right now, number 11, Dan Lasanti. He was the primary running back last year.
They say that Donnelly, the sophomore, gives them a lot more speed in that position than they've had in a long time.
3rd and 2 at the Spartan 47. Walsh still has the ball, and a fine tackle. Catching him in the backfield for a loss.
That was Matt Miller making the big play, preventing the first down.
And so Madison Central will have to punt.
East Brunswick looking good defensively. Madison Central threw a number of things at them, but they seem to have stopped it.
Phil, shall we see the reverse again on the punt return?
I think if Harmon gets it, he'll fake it, and if Maloney gets it, he'll give it.
High snap. There's going to be trouble. He does get the kick off. The ball goes out of bounds around the East Brunswick 40. We'll see where they spot it. That was Scott Flynn, the punter, and he was lucky to get that off.
He certainly was. I guess snapping the ball is a lost art. I think we've seen 4 teams this year, and each of those teams seem to have had a little trouble getting that long snap going. It seems to be a lost art.
All right, the ball is at the East Brunswick 42. Good field position. 1st and 10. We have 5:34 to go. First period. No score. East Brunswick, Madison Central. Giroux in motion. I formation in the backfield. This is a pitch to Harmon. Harmon cuts it up inside, and he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard.
Some tough going down there. And as we can see, Madison Central is meeting East Brunswick at the line.
You know, I think it's interesting to note, last week we talked about the need for East Brunswick to establish a running game, and here thus far in this their second possession, they've run.
Well, I don't think they were listening to us, John.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but let's call it 2nd and 9 now. Forte looking to throw. He's got Giroux wide open left side. Giroux is going to be close to the first down. See where they spot it. I think it's going to be just short.
Joe Giroux trying to give a straight arm. There's an art to that. You just have to establish it. You got to hold it in and then jam it out right into the potential tackler's helmet. Nice try, though.
3rd and a long one for the Bears. Ball across midfield. They're in Madison Central territory. East Brunswick I formation. Forte now puts Giroux in motion. He's got some time. He's looking. Hit from the back, but he's found his man. Trent, first down, East Brunswick.
A nice pass and a nice catch by, I got the correct pronunciation, it's Ramon.
Okay.
Ramon Trent.
Okay, we got it. All of which went for 4 yards. Still, it was the first down. A little bit of a drive here, John.
Ball spotted at the Madison Central 44. 3:53 to go in the first period. Again, East Brunswick comes out in I formation. Strong left with Giroux and Trent. This is Harmon. Harmon fights his way, picks up about 2 yards.
Giroux seems to be saying something to Forte. He was waving as if he wanted to go long and then sort of shrugged his shoulders. How come we didn't go with it? I don't know if it was checked off at the line or what.
You know, Phil, I just happened to look over quickly, and it looked as though they had one man out there from Madison Central with
and
two wide
receivers.
receivers.
Probably that's what it was.
Okay, 2nd and 8 for the Bears. Giroux split wide left, Trent wide right, split backfield. And a problem with the snap, I don't know what happened there, but they're going to call a procedural call.
Hey, somebody go back there and help him, really.
Now they're coming.
That play never got started, quite honestly.
They should be playing the whistle, however, John. It'd be a shame for anyone to get hurt after the whistle's been blown.
All right, we'll wait for the call. That's procedure against East Brunswick, so that'll move him back 5.
Phil, you notice that Brian is getting a little more protection tonight? Or is it that Madison is not choosing to blitz?
If they're not choosing to blitz, I don't know why. Both Rick and Cherokee had relatively good success blitzing. But I'm sure Marcus Borden is prepared for the blitz this week, expecting perhaps Madison Township to blitz them. So perhaps Madison Township is giving them just a different look.
All right, with the penalty, the ball is back to the Madison Central 49-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and about 16. We're down to 2:55 to go in the first period. Forte fakes to Harmon. He's got some room to his left. He's looking. He's thrown deep down. There's Trent by himself. And the ball just hung up there. Good defensive play by Flynn. But Trent was wide open, and the ball just slow getting to Trent.
You're exactly right, John. Just a little bit slow. I think, and there's a flag on the play as well.
Holding penalty. So that would have gone for naught anyway. Boy, Brian had a lot of room here on the near side.
He had an awful lot of room to run. Of course, last week we talked about him running too much. Rahman was open for a while, but a good recovery by Flynn.
I'll tell you what, with East Brunswick's passing attack, I think Madison might do well to refuse this penalty. Let's see what they do.
No, I think they're going to take it. I think.
No, they're going to step it off.
Yeah, they're going to step it off. So a holding call against East Brunswick.
So we may see a host of long passes here, gentlemen.
That moves the ball back to the East Brunswick 39-yard line. So East Brunswick's going the wrong way. 2:42, first period. All right, Forte in a shotgun formation. Harmon in motion. And a little screen out here to DeVito, left side.
He's got room.
And Joey DeVito picks up a lot of those yards back. Crosses midfield once again. It'll be 3rd and about 15.
East Brunswick hoping to break something there, sending both of their wide receivers long, stretching the defense out and throwing back underneath. Joey DeVito picking up good yardage, but of course not enough for the first down.
Amazing what you can do when you have some pass protection, huh?
That's for sure.
East Brunswick has Trent wide right, Giroux in the slot. And Forte is going to be dropped for a loss.
Chris Nugent.
Second string quarterback for Madison Central. Walsh played approximately the first one half of the game against South Plainfield last week, and then Nugent came in and went for 3 scores.
He looks like a pretty good defensive end.
Donnelly and Walsh back deep for the Spartans. When was the last time you saw a quarterback backfield in a punt? Your starting quarterback. Forte. This will be Donnelly. He'll let it bounce, and it'll go. Oh, he's going to field it. And there's the fumble. Ball still bounding around. East Brunswick's got it.
East Brunswick's ball.
At the 9-yard line, I believe.
Number 76 for East Brunswick. That's Rob Perez on top of that ball. Unfortunately, the sophomore, Brian Donnelly, elected to run with the ball. He probably should have let it go.
Well, it's just not a wise move. He's so very near to the sideline, close to stepping out, and then he tried with guys coming down on him to make the shifty move and fumbled it.
All right, the ball just inside the 10. East Brunswick, best field position of the game thus far. 1st and goal. Forte hands off to DeVito. DeVito will get in close to the 5-yard line. 56 seconds to go, first period. Second and about 4 for the score.
I think we can look for Harmon here.
Trent and Drew wide right. Forte's going to throw for it.
Oh, he's by himself.
He's got Giroux all by himself in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Joe Giroux. A good job of getting his feet in after he caught the pass, and East Brunswick goes on top 6-0.
Once again, you can't say enough about the job Jerry Youngchuck does with his receivers. They really confused Madison Central there. Joe Giroux wide open by himself.
Okay, Josh Miller on to kick the extra point. We'll see if, in fact, he gets that chance. Snap is good. The kick is up, and it's good. East Brunswick on top, 7-0, with 26 seconds to go here in the first period.
East Brunswick capitalizing on that error by the sophomore Brian Donnelly, gets off to a good 7-0 lead here, gentlemen.
I'll tell you, and that's what gives coaches gray hair, Jimmy. You know, you make a mistake like that down in your territory, and a team like East Brunswick, who has great capabilities, capitalized on it.
I have a feeling, Phil, that a break like that can really have a major difference in the game, because it looks like both teams are playing at a fairly even clip at this point on the field. East Brunswick is not the type of team that you want to fall behind to either, looking at it from Madison's perspective, because now probably the Bears, especially Brian Forte, will feel a little bit looser. He's liable to open it up even a little more.
Well, more importantly, you don't want to fall behind if you have the wishbone offense. It's not a catch-up offense, Jimmy. It's a ball control offense, and not normally a lot of passing, even though I believe this kid Walsh can pass the ball.
Let's watch Josh Miller on the kickoff, John. See if he puts it in the end zone.
All right, the Bears ready to go. We're near the end of the first period. And a fine kick by Miller. Back into the end, deep into the end zone, and that'll come out to the 20. You can't run it out, I believe.
That's a high school rule.
That's the high school rule, and almost another mental mistake, even if it was very close for Madison Central. I mean, it's just not good heads-up ball.
So Madison Central will start from their own 20. They trail 7-0 as we're nearing the end of the first period, in what is surprisingly a very even match thus far. East Brunswick score coming on a turnover. And I believe number 53 for East Brunswick jumped offside. Bill Heinlein.
Oh, we haven't mentioned his name, John. Sophomore, 5'9", 165, center tackle.
And he's playing.
And he's playing. Well, Marcus Borden always believes in putting the best man out there.
That'll give Madison Central a 1st and 5 to go for the first. Walsh at quarterback. Second man through. And he'll pick up maybe 2 yards, if that.
Phil, I noticed something. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've watched the wishbone, but one of the things you like to do is to get back there and hit that man real quick, or the quarterback, and sort of slow things up. And that seemed to be the case there.
Well, hitting the quarterback, you got to be careful because they'll call it a lot now. But disrupting the flow, the fullback and the quarterback are the key to disrupting it.
And that's the end of the first quarter here at Madison Central, where East Brunswick has the lead, 7-0.
Jimmy, speaking, it's been a long time since you've seen the wishbone. What do these names mean to you? Herb Willis-Croft.
Oh, yeah.
Max Hill.
Oh,
Andre Pearson.
Yeah.
They mean anything to you?
Well, those are some of the...
Half are Phil's relatives.
Yeah.
No.
We haven't mentioned South River once this year, right?
Okay,
Is this the first time?
South River ran the wishbone. What year was that?
Back 71, 72, I think.
Of course, and the ironic part about it, the coach of that team is the father.
Hugh Walsh we're talking about.
Hugh Walsh, the father of the quarterback for Madison Central. I find that quite ironic.
That's something. Huey Walsh, I know him very, very well. He's the Monroe Township athletic director, has a fine program down there, and his son, they are residents of Old Bridge, and his son Ed is just doing very well, obviously starting as a junior quarterback.
All right, Madison Central with 2nd and about 3. First man through.
That's Mike Bowden. They didn't give it to the fullback.
That was Angelucci.
Angelucci, number 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just fortunate I have my field glasses on the play that time. It is really hard to pick up some of these players.
John Santora coming off the field limping. He's an important lineman for him.
Yes,
5'11", 200 pounds.
He goes both ways for the Spartans.
All right, the ball at the 37-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Spartans. They trail 7-0. Angelucci pick up about a yard.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to mention. We're noticing in the lineups that a lot of Madison Central's players, especially on the line, are going both ways. And that could have a telling effect, as it has in the first 2 games that East Brunswick has played in the later stages of the game.
We shall see.
Let's call it 2nd and 8. Ball at the 43. Walsh still has it. And he was a step from breaking that open. He'll pick up about 4 yards on the carry. Bring up a 3rd and 2. Early stages of the 2nd period. Madison Central 22 with the ball, and that's Lasanti, and he'll have the 1st down, and they'll move the sticks.
Again, the 2nd back through.
Phil, defensively, what do you look for? What do you try to do? Jam the hole, or?
The main thing, as I said earlier, is you have to jam up that fullback whether he has the ball or not, John. Stand him straight up, and then you can perhaps control everything else.
1st down, just shy of the 50 for the Spartans. They're on the move, trailing 7-0. And again, it's the 1st back, Angelucci.
Phil, what I'm noticing is that Madison Central seems to be running on number 73, or off 73, Pete Jessup, that big 6'3", 260-pound senior lineman. And I have to watch who he's going up against.
Well, if those are his vital statistics, I'd run off him too. I mean, he's a big kid.
Let's call it 2nd and 7. The ball at the East Brunswick 47-yard line. Wall still has it. There's the pitch out. Pitch went to Dan Lasanti.
Nice gain there. Billy Bruning almost capturing Lasanti for a loss, but able to elude the tackle.
I talked about it earlier that Madison Central probably plays a conservative wishbone. They don't pitch that ball out there that much. In a general wishbone, the ball can be pitched out there an awful lot. If you do that a lot, it can cost you, of course. But you can tell by the cheers of the fans, they don't get to see it pitched too much.
All right, a big down for the Spartans. 3rd and about 1.5. They want to keep this drive going. They trail East Brunswick 7-0. Walsh inside. 1st down and more. That's Vinny Lasanti.
They're just strictly running right on that left side.
And the ball's just shy of the East Brunswick 30.
That's the 3rd 1st down in a row for Madison Central.
Well, they seem to have things clicking now, and that's the one thing about the wishbone. Once it starts clicking, it can really eat up some yardage.
8:42 to go, 2nd period. 1st and 10 for the Spartans. Walsh is going to throw, being pressured, and he's taken down from behind.
Right, that was John Flynn, the linebacker, 55. Well, we mentioned his name a lot last week, gentlemen.
Donnelly was down deep, but fine coverage by Mark Harmon.
And give Marcus Borden credit. That's the one thing about the wishbone. They'll run at you, set you up, and then try to pop one on you. East Brunswick was prepared for that.
2nd and about 9. They give Walsh a yard. Walsh still has it. And he'll pick up about 6 yards on the carry.
Ed Walsh, a tough little player. His father was a fine athlete himself, all-around fine athlete, Huey Walsh. And he's showing some of those heredity traits.
Okay, we have a big play here coming up. Third and about 3.5 yards to go. If they're not successful, I want to mention something about the Madison Central field goal kicker, John.
Again, an important play to keep this drive alive for the Spartans. Walsh, he's going to keep it. And a good hit by Matt Miller.
Very close.
It's close. Now, if Madison is not successful, number 25, the fellow that punted before for Madison Central, Scott Flynn, is their field goal kicker, and he is a good one. He booted one for 34 yards last week against South Plainfield, and I've seen him boot him longer than that. So he's has good range and he's accurate.
Well, we got 2 good field goal kickers out here today then.
We're going to have a measurement. 7:13 to go before half. They'll stretch the chains. And they've got it. First down, Madison Central.
I tell you, look at Ed Walsh, and he's a slight of bill and whatnot, but there's something about him that says leadership. I mean, he looks like he's a real leader out there.
Well, John, he started as a defensive back last year as a sophomore, so that says something.
First and 10 for the Spartans. The ball resting on the East Brunswick 21-yard line. East Brunswick leads 7-0, but the Spartans are threatening here. Inside handoff, number 44.
And Pania, the fullback.
It's Madison Central's line really firing out now.
Let's call it a pickup of about 5. We'll give him 2nd and 5. .635, the clock is running. Full house backfield. Walsh, first man through. Apania again.
And that was stopped this time by St. Ugar, linebacker.
Good hit by Sink.
Say 3rd and 5. Ball resting right at the East Brunswick 15-yard line.
Well, the thinking here, you got to wonder, they're in field goal range. Walsh may keep it himself, or he may try to pop one here.
Walsh has it, pitch back, and a loss.
Well, a little bit of a...
Lasante, the ball carrier.
Right, that was a little bit of a misdirection, or I should say a misfired toss that went to the back of Lasante.
I'll tell you, they're lucky not to fumble that. He was twisting as he was trying to hold on to that ball.
Okay, we're going to see Flynn here on the field goal attempt. It's on a slight angle to the right. John, where is he placing it? I can't tell.
Your guess is as good as mine. I would say the close.
About the 29?
29,
perhaps?
yeah.
Okay, so a 39-yarder. This is well within Flynn's range.
Donnelly is the holder. Snap is good. The kick is up. I believe it's going to be off to the right. We have a whistle, though, and a flag. Let's see what the call is.
Okay, illegal procedure.
Procedure against Madison Central. That'll move him back 5 more. Apparently one of the linemen lifted up prior to the snap of the ball. And now we'll see if they'll give Flynn another shot at it.
They're apparently going to go for it, John.
Why not?
See Walsh coming back in the game.
It's 4th and about 15 for the Spartans.
That's Bob DeMarco for you, 10-year coach for Madison Central.
Okay, watch out for number 7, Donnelly here.
That's precisely right.
And Mark Harmon is on him. Walsh drops straight back. Looking, being pressured, rolls to his right. He's going to be dropped for a loss. No, they let it go. A little screen pass short of the first down. Good defense by East Brunswick.
Boy, Walsh, despite the fact that it didn't go for first down, really showed some poise on that play.
He's a good little athlete.
He dumped it off to Angelucci, but East Brunswick's defense was right there to shut it down, and that's where the Bears will take over.
Boy, I'll tell you what, gentlemen, that drive, I believe, started at the beginning of the second quarter and consumed nearly about 7.5 minutes.
Well, Wishbone is meant to be a ball-controlled offense.
All right, East Brunswick takes over on their own 21. They lead 7-0. 4:15 to go before half. Here's Harmon. Let's see where they spot his forward motion.
I'll tell you, not too many yards on there, but good hard running by Harmon. He kept those legs turning even though he was being held up and hit by several Madison Central players.
Let's give him 2 and call it 2nd and 8 for the Bears. Forte taking his time, setting up the pass. He's got plenty of time. He's got Giroux on the side, and Giroux just can't hand it. The ball was a little bit behind him.
Giroux trying to do what he did earlier, making sure that he keeps his feet in bounds and had his hands turned the wrong way. There's a time to turn your hands up to catch the ball and a time to turn your hands down, and he just couldn't get his hands positioned properly.
Right, Phil. I thought that was a very catchable pass, well thrown, and important for East Brunswick. Brian Forte had protection.
All right, 3rd and about 8 for the Bears. Forte in shotgun formation, or what they call the run and shoot formation. Harmon in motion. Good snap. Brian's got plenty of time back there. He's looking for his man, underthrown. Looking for Harmon around along the right side. It looked as though he was expecting Harmon to come back. A little curl pattern, Phil.
Well, technically, you're taught all the time, if the ball's not there, you got to come back towards it. I don't think Harmon had a chance to catch it anyway, but you should be coming back towards the ball.
All right, Forte in punt formation. Walsh and Donnelly back deep for the Spartans. High snap. Forte pulls it down and gets off a good kick.
Great kick. Great
Drives
kick.
Donnelly back to his 30-yard line. And Donnelly gets across the 40 to about the 41.
Give Brian Forte some credit. A high snap again, picked it up at his apex and got off a tremendous kick.
That was about a 50-yarder right there.
He's been punting extremely well this year.
It really is. Field control looks to be a big weapon in this game, where it's going to be a major asset for a team. And with Brian Forte punting, I'll tell you what, East Brunswick has quite somebody that they can go to.
Spartans take over on their own 41. Good field position. Under 3 minutes to go before half.
And that hole was there again for Madison Central.
That was Mike Bowden on the carry. Bowden picks up about 6. Let's call it 2nd and 4. Clock is running. Both teams have all their timeouts. Fumble, Walsh fumbles it, picks it up, and gets through for the first down.
I'll tell you, good heads-up play by the young player. The ball was clearly fumbled, picked it up on the ground, and just kept turning his legs and picked up a first down. Heads-up ball.
Ball spotted at the East Brunswick 46. 1st and 10 for the Spartans. Here's a reverse. This is Donnelly, and he's nailed by Harmon right at the line of scrimmage.
We have a flag.
That'll stop the clock with 1:53. Crackback block against Madison Central, so that'll move him back.
A clip. I'll tell you, Harmon made the tackle, but John Flynn slowed him up.
We have a fast-moving game here, gentlemen.
Extremely.
Well, as you said, Phil, what a wishbone offense. Not too many passes are thrown in the air. And the ball just keeps on going on the ground.
Another great night for football, though. Beautiful.
And the Spartans go back deep into their own territory. This has to hurt them.
What's really unfortunate is that penalty is being marked off on the point of the foul, which was about 5 to 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And the clock starts to move.
And that's the option of the official. Not the option, but from where it hurts the most is the terminology officials use.
It's first and let's call it a bundle. 1:35 to go before halftime. Spartans trail 7-0, and they're going to stay on the ground. Angelucci, and he was taken down by number 42 for East Brunswick. St. Ugar. That's Phil's boy.
That's right. He's a good ball player.
And Madison Central calls their first time out.
John, while we have a moment, the girls soccer team, which you had the pleasure of telecasting this week, in an 8-0 win over JP Stevens, made it 2 in a row this week by shutting out Madison Central 7-0. And Lisa Gagno had 4 more goals, and that brings her total up to 13 on the season. So East Brunswick girls soccer team currently ranked #1 in the state, defending Group 4 state champions.
I tell you, Luke Hoser really does a job with them. It's amazing that they can put out such good teams year after year.
Well, Lou's a little worried, Phil. You know, he's got
come on.
I know the action's going to start, but he's got a lot of seniors on that team, and he's worried about next year. I told him, let's
enjoy this year.
Enjoy this year.
Really.
So with 1:23, Madison Central second and about 30. And Walsh is going to throw deep. He's looking for Donnelly. And Donnelly's got it. Did he catch it in bounds? Yes.
We have a flag, however.
Another flag.
Let's see what we got here. Walsh is a little anguished. It's a holding.
Phil, that was a case of Mark Harmon playing the ball and not the man.
Exactly. What a nice pass by Ed Walsh, though. He put it up there nicely. I didn't know the kid had that type of arm. An awful nice pass, and Donnelly made a good adjustment to come back to get the ball. Unfortunately, a holding penalty.
Phil, last week against South Plainfield, Walsh and Donnelly hooked up on a 40-yard, and I mean it was a legitimate 40-yard pass completion.
So despite the wishbone offense, they can pass the ball if they have to.
Can.
Clock is running, 1:13 now to go before the end of the second period. And Madison Central keeps moving further back. And with their type of offense, this is going to be a difficult chore for them. And a timeout.
Phil, I guess East Brunswick would do well to play back almost like in a outfield setup here to prevent the long pass completion.
Well, you keep thinking back to that Cherokee game when they were 3rd and 20-something, and they played the receiver too tight. You just don't want to be up too tight, really. You don't want to give them the big play.
53 seconds. It's second and about 40.
Room here.
Here's a little reverse, and a good open field tackle by Brunig. He made it on Chris Nugent.
I tell you, and it's the type of tackle we come to expect from Bill Brunig, the captain. That's an awful hard tackle to make. It's open field, the guy's going, and if you don't make it, he's gone. Bill Brunig does it with regularity.
John, that was East Brunswick calling timeout.
All right, 38 seconds to go before half. This is going to be a 3rd and about 30.
Do they still have the drop kick?
Why do you ask, Bill?
I don't know.
Is this the appropriate situation?
What made you think of that?
A different way of scoring. Okay.
Phil, this is only the second game of the season for us.
Yeah. On the subject of kicking, how's that for a transition? The boys soccer team are now over the 500 mark as they knocked off JP Stevens this week in a game that was also televised by Channel 8. And interestingly, John, I understand that East Brunswick had a player ejected, but still managed to score 3 goals in the second half.
They played with 10 men the entire second half.
Wow.
Well, they seem to be back on track.
Anyway, we'll see if the Spartans can get on track. And now we have an officials timeout.
Madison
Madison Central calls another timeout. So East Brunswick called a timeout. Madison Central calls their second timeout immediately following the East Brunswick timeout. And in less than a minute, they're going to have to get together for halftime.
Oh, really? Well, Jimmy, you think East Brunswick, Madison Central's going to just really put it up there?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's no reason for them not to. I think, given the situation, third and 30, it would be someone like a punt. And probably expecting that sort of situation, I think they'll be prepared for a run back. So if I were them, I'd throw it long.
Well, you put it up like that and it gets in Mark Harmon's hand, and it can be an instant 6 points right before the half.
All right, we're going to try to play this now, 3rd and 30 after all the timeouts. We still have 38 seconds to go before the half. And surprisingly, East Brunswick's up tight. Walsh being pressured. He's going to be taken down from behind. Clock is running. And finally, timeout is called by East Brunswick.
All of Madison Central's recovered very well. I was particularly watching Donnelly and Harmon go at it, and Harmon was covering them like a blanket.
Right. Kevin Maloney, number 12. Well, at the very least, East Brunswick is going to try to get into position so that Josh Miller may attempt a long field goal. I'm not sure how many timeouts the Bears have. I know they used 2 for sure.
And while you're looking, you can see some of the East Brunswick crowd that's come out tonight. A good crowd for the Bears. It's always nice to see, particularly when you're on the road.
I don't think there's any question, John. East Brunswick always has had a good following on the road.
All right, we'll see if Coach Borden's strategy pays off by calling the timeout. They're going to get the ball back here. Harmon and Maloney back deep. And all the strategy by Bob DeMarco has gone for naught. 24 seconds to go. And the snap's over Flynn's head. He picks it up, tries to throw it. It's picked off in the air by Holcomb.
That's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown for East Brunswick.
Ryan Holcomb, John.
Unbelievable.
16 seconds left before the half.
Unbelievable.
Major mistake on the part of Madison Central. Fans on this side of the field are sitting stunned.
Well, I lamented earlier, Jimmy, about the high snaps from centers. Again, it's a lost art, and it's cost Madison Central very dearly here.
Really
Holcomb in the right place, and it ends up for a 6 points. 6 points that we just talked about that Madison Central didn't want to give up right before the half.
Well, a little confusion on the extra point, something that we've seen before. Oh, I know what it is.
They want their own
They
ball.
want their own ball in.
All right, so Josh Miller will try to add the 14th point for the Bears. Snap is poor. Maloney's going to roll out, looking for someone. He throws it into a crowd, incomplete. And we're back to that extra point problem.
John, I see a flag. Yeah. I was going to say.
I just don't remember in any year, recent years, where I've seen as much confusion surrounding the extra point as I've seen this year.
So, despite the missed extra point, Shannon Holcomb picking off a ill-advised pass on the part of the punter and going about 6 yards for the score, I guess it was. And 13 points at halftime. Let's see, it was 12-0 last week against Brick, right?
That's right.
And if I remember correctly, East Brunswick scored with only a few seconds left in the half. And 13 points. That's a big lead in this type of game.
All right, 13 seconds remaining. Madison Central will get their hands on the ball one more time before the half. And a strange turn of events there. Flynn would have been wise just to fall on that. He didn't. He tried to pass it, and Holcomb was right there.
I can't help but think about last year how the breaks went against East Brunswick in this same Madison Central game. Maybe things are evening up.
Okay, Miller with the kick. Nice and high. And it's fumbled by Bowden. Picked up. And some running room. That was Lasanti.
And Bill Bruneg on the tackle there.
Right. East Brunswick fills its lanes real nice so that even when a opponent breaks it, there's somebody there for East Brunswick covering.
All right, 7 seconds. The ball on the Madison Central 43-yard line. Time for one play, really. Walsh rolls to his right, sets up, and the ball slips out of his hand. And Madison Central is fortunate that East Brunswick could not get to it. And that'll do it for the first half here at Madison, where the Bears go in at halftime with a 13-0 lead. Gentlemen?
Bit of a stunner in the sense that East Brunswick got all its points on some Madison Central miscues. I think you have to be fair and say that the Spartans are the team that seem to have better ball control off that wishbone. I don't have the offensive stats for Madison Central. I can tell you that Brian Forte was only, well, he completed 4 out of 7 passes for about 35 yards. So give credit to Madison Central, even though they're down 13-0.
Phil.
Again, right. Bob DeMarco has to be pulling his hair out because 2 major mistakes on his part have enabled East Brunswick to score. East Brunswick playing opportunistic football.
Okay, so we'll be back with the start of the third period in just a moment. All right, you see the teams coming out for the start of the third period, doing a little stretching. East Brunswick's in the lead, 13-0. And really, the score doesn't indicate the kind of struggle we've seen here this first half.
That's precisely the point, John. Madison Central using that wishbone offense methodically, moving down the field. And unfortunately, when you rely on a 4-down or 3-down offense, what I mean is you like to use all 3 downs to get the first down and continue the drive. All you need is to have one play go wrong or there be a penalty, and it sort of stops the drive. And that was the story with Madison Central, particularly on that 7.5-minute drive that consumed the better part of the second period. John, I should mention something. A bank of lights on the right side of the field has gone out, and we don't know yet whether that's going to have an effect on the game, or I know the game officials are talking about it with the athletic director.
All right, let me see if Dave, our cameraman, can swing over. It's to our right in the right end zone. You'll see how dark it is down at that corner of the field. And that could be a dangerous area, particularly if you're looking to, pass the ball down there or even punts. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, they're going to play it the way it is.
Well, the truth of the matter, John, is the lighting that they have here in the first place doesn't really seem to be that good. And to have one entire set of lights out is going to make things that much more difficult.
Okay, quickly, Madison, if you're the Madison Central coach, do you change anything, Phil?
Of course not. They've been doing everything. They've been controlling the ball. They've had more time of possession, probably more yardage than East Brunswick. Some untimely penalties and some mistakes and whatnot. So they just got to get back in the game and forget about the mistakes.
Hey, quickly, some statistics for East Brunswick. Mark Harmon ran the ball 5 times in the first half and got 21 yards. Joe DeVito had 7 yards on 2 carries. Brian Forte was sacked for a 6-yard loss, so that's the East Brunswick rushing. And Brian Forte, as we mentioned, was 4 for 7 with about 35 yards worth of passing. And East Brunswick only had 2 first downs that half. So, as we said, Madison Central dominated offensively.
And really, the special teams for East Brunswick and the defense have come through. East Brunswick's first score coming on a fumble that was recovered around the 9-yard line. East Brunswick went in for the score, a pass from from Forte to Giroux. And then that play near the end of the half where the punter, Flynn, got himself in trouble. First, there was a bad snap, and then he tried to pass the ball. Holcomb picked it up for the score. So we're ready to start the third period here with Josh Miller kicking off. Again, into the dark end of the field. And we'll wait till they come into the light to see who it is with the ball. I believe that was Chris Nugent, number 23.
Mike Bowden, 21, John.
Okay.
That's okay. Again, we got the field glasses on this guy.
Well, it makes it very difficult to pick up the numbers down there. It does.
As we said, it's difficult enough just picking up the yard markers here, the way the field is designed. Anyway, it's 1st and 10 for the Spartans. And Walsh has it. He breaks open. He's got some room. 1st down and more up around midfield.
Very nice run. Eluded the tackle by Shannon Holcomb.
He's a shifty young quarterback, and I'm very impressed with him.
1st and 10, the ball right at midfield for the Spartans. Start of 3rd period action. They trail 13-0. Walsh still has it. He's going to keep it again. He'll pick up about 3 yards. So thus far, Madison Central has not changed anything.
They really haven't, and as I said, John, I don't think they really have to. They just have to stop the mistakes, hold on to the ball a little bit better.
Okay, the ball at the East Brunswick 46. 2nd, and let's call it about 5. First man through. Pick up about 2. I think that was Apania.
That's Holcomb again on that tackle.
Right. Shannon allowing just about a 2-yard pickup that time.
Third and 4 for the Spartans. Walsh with the ball. He's got the 1st down and more. He's to the outside. And Walsh inside the 20, close to the 15-yard line.
I'll tell you, very good running and not very good tackling.
Go ahead, Phil.
One thing, Bob DeMarco, he seems to be staying with what's working now. I mean, he hasn't changed up. Walsh has come out of there and faked into the line and kept the ball and run it several times, and it's been successful, and he hasn't changed up on it yet.
All right, the Spartans with a big 1st down. They're threatening. They trail 13-0. Outside, Lasanti. He's going to go in for the score. And Madison Central's back in this ball game.
Take the opening drive, march right down the field.
Amazing.
So Vin Lasanti, the 5'11", 185-pound senior, outrunning Billy Bruning on that one.
Now Flynn on for the extra point. Let's watch the snap. Snap is high, but it's down by Donnelly. The kick is up and good. And the Spartans now trail by 6.
I'll tell you, John, a very pressing opening drive for the 2nd half. And it's no secret what Bob DeMarco told him in the locker room. I don't know how he told him, but he got the point across that, listen, we are outplaying these guys. We've just been hurting ourselves with mistakes, and we have to settle down, get back, continue to do some of the things we were doing in the 1st half, and we'll be in the game. And sure enough, they came out this 1st half and took it right down.
You know, Phil, one thing I noticed the 1st half was that Walsh, every time he handed off, was never covered. No one picked him up just to bump him to keep an eye on him. And apparently Madison Central decided, let's have Walsh run that ball because no one is picking him up.
Well, what I found out last week against South Plains, Phil, they were able to score as much as they did, even though their fullback wasn't going, even though the fullback was being stopped. So, despite the fact the fullback was being stopped, Walsh is shifty enough to pick up good yardage.
Okay, 9:43 to go in the 3rd period. Madison Central now down by 6, 13-7, but the Bears will receive. Here's the kickoff. This is going to be Harmon at about his 7-yard line. Mark Harmon right up the middle.
Oh.
And needed 1 block. Crosses the 30 to about the 35-yard line.
Got that right, John. 1 tackler. That's all it was between Mark Harmon and the goal line.
Rich Lutz, a 5'10", 185-pound defensive lineman made that tackle, and a hard hit on Mark Harmon.
All right, let's see what the Bears do on their first possession of the third period. Trent and Giroux wide right, split backfield. Quick pitch to Harmon. He's got the left side, he's got some running room. He's got a first down. And East Brunswick comes right back.
Well, it just has to warm the cockles of your heart to see them running, picking up some yardage, running on the ground. We just haven't seen that much this year, and we know they have the ability to do it. So when you see something like that, it's got to make you feel good, because you know they're going to set things up for Brian's good passing game.
It warms my cockles, that's for sure. All right, the Bears 1st and 10 at their own 46. Trent comes wide right. Maloney in motion. Forte will look to pass. Being pressured now. Shields himself by the referee.
He's got room to run.
And he's going to run. And he'll pick up 2 yards after all that.
Well, Johnny may have picked up 2 yards, but he ran at least 45 yards.
He sure did.
That just goes to show what type of athlete Brian Forte is.
He's a good athlete. I still think he needs to give up that ball a lot sooner than he does. He didn't throw a bad pass, but I don't think he has to hold it that long.
All right, 2nd and about 7 for the Bears.
They got 2 receivers out here and only 1 man covering.
Potter switching over now. Strong side left.
See if Brian picks that up.
Inside handoff, DeVito. DeVito fighting his way for the first down, and he's got it. Bears move into Spartan territory.
Excellent running by Joey DeVito, but again, a good point, Jimmy, whether Brian would pick up the fact that they had 2 receivers spread out to the right and only 1 defensive back there to cover him. DeMarco won't let that happen again.
All right, Maloney and Trent come wide right.
Well, check it out, Phil.
Well,
I assume Donnelly is going to be able to cover Maloney here.
Here's a pitch. Harmon will struggle for 3.
we see Donnelly, number 7, standing there. I understand the young man's extremely fast, but still you have those 2 receivers spread out to the right there, and still no adjustment has been made by DeMarco, and still Marcus hasn't picked up to take advantage of it. I'm surprised. Look at it.
7 minutes to go, 3rd period. I formation for the Bears. 2nd and about 7.
Okay, Donnelly sliding over a little bit now.
Forte, he's going to look that way. Gets away from some pressure, putting it down deep for Giroux. He's out of bounds, incomplete. But you called it, Phil.
Okay, but what happened is Madison Central did make some adjustment. Donnelly started cheating over at the very last minute, but still I thought he was out of position.
All right. Brian certainly could have connected with Giroux on that if it was a little more accurate.
They seem to, Madison Central, that is, trying to disguise that zone coverage where they'll roll over to that heavy side. But as you said, you don't know if they have the speed to do that.
Well, I'm saying if you send both guys, one guy shooting in and other guy doing the fly, they can't cover it.
2nd and 7 for the Bears. Trent wide right. Pressure. And Forte's going to be dropped for a big loss. No one picked that man up.
All right, that was a 3rd down, John.
I'm sorry, you're right, Jim.
So East Brunswick is going to have to punt. Big play right there.
Number 66, Rob Stanovich. 6'2", 200 pounds, making the tackle there.
And he came straight in. All right, Forte in punt formation.
You got to remember Forte passed for a touchdown off a similar situation last week.
High snap once again. Forte will kick it away. This will be Donnelly. Rather dangerous move, but he holds on to it.
I'll tell you, John, they say no risk, no growth, but they've been taking too much of a risk with that ball with East Brunswick men coming down upon them. It's cost them several times, and yet I guess they're just risk takers.
Now let's see what East Brunswick does to adjust on defense. I think you hit it, Phil, when you mentioned that, John, I should say, Walsh was just keeping the ball and running.
5:50 to go, 3rd period. Madison Central at around their own 15-yard line, 1st and 10. Walsh has it again. He's going to run with it. And he'll pick up about 4 or 5 yards.
Well, it's evident that Bob DeMarco has picked up something in East Brunswick's defensive stand, and they're taking advantage of it right now.
Well, Phil, I think maybe we hit it when we mentioned that Walsh is carrying it. Maybe we ought to make him force him to pitch it.
Let's give him 6. Let's call it 2nd and 4 for the Spartans. First man through, heavy hit there. Number 53 for the Bears. And again, that's Bill Heinlein. And there's an injured player down for East Brunswick.
I believe that's Matt Miller.
I think so, Jim.
Looks like he is holding his stomach as if it's in the middle portion. Now Phil Hostler is checking his left knee.
First down for the Spartans as they brought the chains out for the measurement.
Well, I had mentioned earlier, Matt Miller is extremely important to this East Brunswick defense. He is the man in the middle, and has been one of their most aggressive players, as all middle linebackers should be. So we certainly hope the young man's okay.
You know, just an editorial comment. I can't believe there's a player down on the field and they actually dragged the chains over him to mark the ball, check the ball for the first down.
I thought it could have waited too, John.
I'll tell you.
All right, Matt up on his feet now, walking around.
The show must go on.
What, do we have to be out of here by 10 or something? God, no class. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
His name is John Meggiolaro. He lives.
You could send any comments to Channel 8. All right, it'll be first down for the Spartans. 4:52 to go, third period. And they have a first down. Ball at their own 32-yard line. Counter, and this is Bodine, I believe.
Madison Central doing the intelligent thing, and that's going right into Miller's spot. Mark Flynn, number 91, is in there replacing Matt.
Mike Bowden, good hard running.
And Madison Central is simply rolling up the yardage.
Well, they're starting to mix it up a little bit too, so you're just not quite sure where they're going to come from.
Another first down for the Spartans. Ball at their own 46 now.
Oh, here comes Matt Miller.
Okay, Glenn Ampania picking up that yardage there, and Madison Central just looks like they believe in their offense now, and they're picking up, certainly picking up good yardage.
Second and about 4 for the Spartans. They're moving the ball extremely well. And Pania again, short of the first down.
2 hard yards.
Let's call it third and about 1 with 3:32 to go in the third period. We're going to have an official's timeout.
Yeah, it does look it.
Equipment problem for East Brunswick.
You know, Jimmy, I'll tell you why I could never be a coach, because I'm thinking crazy things now, like, hey, everybody knows you're going to try to jam it in there and just pop a quick pass, and of course that's ridiculous.
Yes.
That's why you're up here, Phil.
3rd and 1, huh?
Let's see, 3rd and 1 for the Spartans. Walsh is going to keep it. He's going to pick up the first down. He's free, and he trips.
He tripped over his own feet. Otherwise, he was on his way to the show.
But the drive remains alive. East Brunswick needs something to change the momentum. Something quick here on defense. 2:54 to go, and the Spartans are knocking once again. They trail by 6, 13-7. Ball at the East Brunswick 35. Bowden, despite being tripped up in the backfield, able to pick up 3 yards.
That offense is looking like a well-oiled machine right now.
Miller still a little slow out there.
Second and about 7 for the Spartans. They're inside East Brunswick territory. Walsh has it. Walsh will move closer to the first down. He'll be short, however. Third and about 2. A minute 50 to go here in the third period, and a Spartan is down on the
John,
field.
I believe that's the quarterback, Walsh. He took a good hit on that play, and we're not sure what it looks to be his right leg.
Well, that's the risk of running your quarterback in that veer or wishbone offense.
A little bit of a twisted ankle, perhaps. Fear not if you're a Madison Central fan, however, because we mentioned that Chris Nugent came in and directed Madison to 3 scores against South Plainfield, so I could easily see him coming in.
Yeah, Walsh will have to come out for at least one play. So Nugent will be in at quarterback, at least for the moment. Big 3rd and 2 for the Spartans. This drive started at their own 15. And Nugent fumbles the ball. I think he's recovered it, though, yes. But that hurts.
And that's what happens when you haven't taken a snap the entire game, and all of a sudden you're thrusted in the game there. And more importantly for Madison Central, that was a crucial well, not a crucial, but it was an important 3rd down. And now they're faced with a 4th and about 6 yards to go.
Clock is running. We're down to 1 minute in the third period. Nugent still at quarterback. He fumbles the ball again, picks it up. No way he's going to be near that first down, and East Brunswick will take over.
So there you have it.
Once again, Madison Central making mistakes at very crucial times, and it's hurt them once again. They were doing on an excellent drive. Of course, Ed Walsh got hurt. Nugent came in. The exchange between the quarterback and the center twice poor, and it's to East Brunswick's advantage.
All right, East Brunswick will have it on their own 30. 37 seconds to go in this period. And Madison Central calls a timeout.
I wonder why.
I don't know if they had enough men on the field.
Well, certainly there's no wind advantage
You're
here.
right. Lasanti wasn't on the field. Number 22 just now coming out. They only had 10 men on the field, and somebody with a heads-up play, number 21, Bowden, noticed it and called timeout. His coach gives him a pat for being so alert.
That could prove fatal at some point in this game, using a timeout now.
Phil, East Brunswick having the ball now deep in their own territory, having a fair game on the ground and really not hitting too well in the air. What do you think is the best way to go?
Well, but I think probably just mixing it up, Jimmy, you know, a little bit of running, a little bit of passing.
Okay.
Bears 1st and 10. This is Harmon. And Harmon's going to be dropped behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose about 2 yards.
John Santora on the tackle there. Good hard hit.
I've got a question. Where's Dave Potter in this offense? Where's
Well,
that tight end?
I can tell you that he was a little under the weather yesterday. He missed school and was not sure about whether or not he was going to play. Apparently, Borden's electing to sit him out.
Okay, East Brunswick has Drew and Trent split wide. Forte with some time. Now he's got to get out of the pocket, and he's dropped. And he'll lose yardage, another 2 or 3 yards. Long pass plays, Phil.
Once again, and you got to have some time to get those long pass plays off. One thing is very clear. Teams that are going to pressure East Brunswick are going to give them a tough time.
And so with that play, we'll end the third period. East Brunswick with a slim 13-7 lead over Madison Central. And we'll get ready for the last 12 minutes.
Okay. rather big play coming up here on a 3rd and 12. Boy, it's really unusual, gentlemen, to watch East Brunswick coming out of the dark here.
It's like playing in your backyard with the car lights on.
It really does look unusual. A little more about East Brunswick fall sports teams. The girls tennis team, by the way, is on a roll. They're 6-0, most recently having knocked off J.P. Stevens 4-1. And then first singles, Jill Roth. Second singles, Meredith Hirsch. And third singles, Kristen Daly. And the first doubles team of Elena Kassan and Wendy Kepner. And the second doubles team of Jody Kulik and Sharon Acaris is doing real well.
Okay, 3rd and 12 for the Bears. At about their own 25. Forte, he's got some time. He's looking down for Drew. He's got him, first down. And more, Drew goes out of bounds. Wide open, Joe Giroux.
A nice pass pattern, and once again, they had Ramon Trent going long, taking a few people with him, and Forte being able to pick up Joe Giroux underneath. Nice play.
Boy, that was a big first down, too.
Really?
That got him out of trouble and continues this drive.
Marcus Borden called that play. He was out on the field at that timeout.
Ball now resting at the East Brunswick 48, 1st and 10. We've just started the 4th period. 13-7, Bears on top. Forte, short drop. He's got his man, number 12, Maloney.
Kevin showing nice hands there.
Something I've noticed about Forte, once he gets his rhythm going in the passing game, well, I'll tell you what, he's really something to behold, and I think he's starting to get it right now. This is a very important drive.
Jimmy, with his arm, that 2-3 step drop is deadly. Anyway, it's 1st and 10 for the Bears again. They're inside Madison Central territory. DeVito, and DeVito picks up 5 yards. East Brunswick starting to gear it up now.
Well, they're mixing it up a little bit. As I pointed out, a little pass here, a little run there, and they're trying to keep Madison Central off balance rather than being so predictable.
Let's call it 2nd and about 3 for the Bears. Ball at the Madison Central 35. Forte being pressured. Gets away from one tackler. He's got plenty of room to his left side. Brian Forte. And he'll step out of bounds, and a flag is thrown. I think it's going to be a late hit.
That was a sensational run right there. Phil, you were saying that Brian's slowing down a little? He eluded a tackle and got some very important yards right there.
Well, he's certainly not slowing down anybody. I indicated before he doesn't seem to be as elusive as he was as a sophomore, but he certainly has good speed.
A personal foul against Madison Central is going to move that ball closer to the goal line, as Brian Forte was hit as he stepped out of bounds.
Another mental mistake by Madison Central.
Boy, just when you thought Madison Central had the momentum, looks like they were going to go in for a second score, East Brunswick rises to the occasion in defense, gets the ball right back and marches downfield.
Ball's at about the Madison Central 6. 1st and 10, 10:40 to go in the ball game.
Look on the right side there. There's
Trent,
2 receivers out there, and there's 1 defensive back.
Trent and Giroux. And Flynn is the only defender.
And they haven't made any adjustments yet. I can't believe it. Now, DeMarco's trying to get somebody over there. Mike Bowden cheating over a little bit.
Okay, they finally get things straightened out at the line of scrimmage, and we're ready to go. Forte, short drop, looking over the middle, intercept. Oh, that was Walsh. He read it beautifully.
And if he would have picked it up, John, it would have been
off to the races.
Well, off to the race. It would have been a good race because you had Brian Forte back there, and Brian has excellent speed, so it would have been an interesting match.
I believe Giroux is down in the end zone. I think he collided with Trent. They did a switch out there, or a crossing pattern, if you will.
Well, if he didn't collide with Raymond, I'll tell you what, that's treacherous going down there in that side of the end zone. As we had stated up on top, this is not the best of fields. And I know for a fact that that portion of the field down there is very, very slick going, and he could have slipped. Oh, that's Potter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave Potter. Phil, there was a case where I believe Brian gave it away. He focused in on one man, never looked for that free safety.
Good point.
You know, we neglected to say on that personal foul, East Brunswick had a first down and 5 yards to go, so they really can they can get a first down and not go in for a touchdown.
Good point, Jim. It's 2nd and about 5 for now for the Bears. Ball out about the 12-yard line. Here's Harmon right up the middle. Harmon is close.
Well, we got a flag.
Motion against East Brunswick is the preliminary call.
And you got it.
It's official.
You got to believe it's those offside receivers there. And again, they're just going to have to learn. You cannot make that movement until that ball is snapped.
So that'll move the Bears back.
Well, Mark Harmon getting the first down on that, almost down to the goal line. So that was a very untimely penalty.
It'll bring up a 2nd and 9 for the Bears. Forte has Trent wide right. Pressure on Forte. He's rolling. He's going to get rid of it in the end zone. Incomplete. Ooh. Somewhat of a dangerous pass.
A dangerous pass, but a very fine effort by Brian Forte, throwing while rolling out on the run, and nearly hit his receiver.
We'll see if Josh Miller comes out.
Oh, I believe it's a 3rd down, John.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, Jim, because of the penalty. Dave Potter's back in. Good to see that.
And he's a big target. Jeez, 85. Dave Potter, a big target.
And a junior.
That's the point I was trying to make. I don't see that position in the offense at all. Anyway, Forte, 3rd and 9. Will roll right. He's got a man in the corner. Trent, touchdown. That's Maloney, pulls it down in a crowd.
He sure did. Well.
We'll never know whether he's throwing for Maloney or Trent, but a nice catch by Kevin Maloney.
We'll have to ask him after the game. He admittedly, he threw into a crowd there, and Maloney came up with it. 12-yard touchdown pass that was. Brian Forte second in the game, and seemingly a more comfortable 19-7 lead.
And Marcus Borden's coming out, talk to his players.
So someone has called a timeout here. Okay, Kevin Maloney coming up with a big touchdown with 10 minutes left to go in the game here. And the crowd apparently thinks the game is about over because a lot of them are starting to filter out now.
I think they're just going for another hot dog, Jim.
Well, it's going to have to change the offensive strategy of Madison Central. It appears East Brunswick's going to go for 2. And they are. Trent over to the left. Forte is going to try running. He pitches back to Harmon. And again, no extra point.
Well, East Brunswick, good choice, though, to try to go for the 2 points and bring the margin up to 21-7. Not successful, but still they have that 19-7 lead. Brian now with 2 touchdown passes. I'm trying to find out how many he had going into this game. I believe it was 3 or 4, okay? So that brings him up to 6 touchdown passes on the season. By the way, the leading scorer in the county was Mark Harmon with 4 touchdowns.
Is that right?
We didn't mention that.
Oh, wow.
And primarily because East Brunswick had played 2 games before.
That's
while
interesting.
most of the teams have played 1.
Well, he had 3 in that Cherokee game alone, right, Jim?
Wow.
That's right.
He does so many other things. He has less than 100 yards rushing, and yet he's the leading scorer in Middlesex County. That's because he's so versatile.
Okay, the Bears will kick it off. 10 minutes to go in the game. Madison Central down by 12 now, 19-7. And we'll see if they move out of that wishbone offense. Miller's kick, he's going to go out of bounds, and that'll be a penalty. I believe in high school ball they have an option, don't they?
To take the ball where it is or kick it over. I'm not sure.
Well, I know
I thought they used to bring it out to the 25 or 30.
Well, what was happening in preseason, we were watching the, remember the NFL guys? National Football League was experimenting with bringing the ball out to the 35 on a kickoff that went out of bounds, but in high school ball,
okay,
it looks like Miller will be now kicking off from his 35. Forte, by the way, 7 for 14 now.
and he'll re-tee it up and start over again. Excellent kick, all the way in, close to the end zone. Dropped, and the ball goes into the end zone, so it'll come out to the 20.
Josh Miller is excited. He's jumping around on the field. He really got a lot of foot into that kickoff.
What a great kickoff that was. I mean that ball, if it was kicked off from its 40, would have gone about 5 to 6 yards deep in the end zone.
Just a tremendous kick.
Right.
And it puts Madison Central in a hole. They have to start now from their own 20. Trailing by 12. Let's see what they do on offense. They've got Donnelly wide right. And Harmon will be guarding him. Walsh looking over the middle for Donnelly. Incomplete, and they're going to call pass interference.
Well,
questionable.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I have to agree with you, John. I think it was a questionable call. There was no way that Donnelly was going to catch that ball.
Well, it was very close what happened. Donnelly's feet slid out from under him, and he was sliding towards Harmon as Harmon was coming towards him, and he did hit him before the ball got there, but it was almost forced.
And
the other question is, too, Phil, would he been able to catch that ball? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but they usually call that when it's far over the head rather than thrown on a line like that.
That's a 15-yard penalty, John.
First down for the Spartans, 9:56 left in this game. Donnelly split left. Walsh pitches back. And that's Lasanti.
That's only the third pitch of the game for Madison Central.
Phil, can Madison Central afford to keep the ball on the ground?
Well, I think they're just trying to draw East Brunswick in tight a little bit. They will pass the ball. Make no doubt about it. They will pass the ball. They have to.
Let's call it 2nd and 3. Spartans at their own 42-yard line.
Well,
and we have an offside. Donnelly.
And his eagerness to get out there, and it was a pass play that time. He tried to pull himself back, but couldn't do it.
And that's what I'm saying about these drive killers. You know, you're so dependent when you're in the wishbone on a run, and then a penalty like this just puts a damper on it. It puts Madison, in a second and now about, 9 yards?
Yeah, well, Bob DeMarco is not feeling too good right now, but he's going to feel a lot worse once he watches the films, because it's just a lot of simple mistakes. They're playing good, solid ball, but all these mistakes are really killing them.
Phil, a quick question for you. Would you double cover Donnelly and force Walsh to go to another receiver?
I think Harmon can stay with Donnelly one-on-one.
Walsh has it. He's going to keep it. He'll pick up about 3. Clock is running.
There's Mike Hack on the tackle. Another one of those juniors, or is he a senior this year? Check the program here.
I tell you, talking about juniors and seniors, this Madison Central team is a very young, extremely young team themselves.
They are.
They're talking about next year is going to be when they're really going to be something.
All right, Walsh facing a 3rd and about 3.5. He's going to keep it. Pitches back to Lasanti. Lasanti's got the first down and more. Lasanti's, it's a foot race. He's going to score.
Wow. Wow.
Lasante goes about 50-some yards, about 55 yards for the score.
Just an impressive run by the young man. I mentioned before that they only had pitched 3 times before, and this was the 4th time they pitched out, caught East Brunswick in tight, and took it down the sidelines.
Bears obviously looking for Walsh to hold on to that ball. And Lasante, boy, he showed me some speed.
Some good speed there.
All right, Flynn for the extra point. 8:26 to go. It's now 19-13. East Brunswick.
Plenty of time now.
And a high snap. The ball's put down. Flynn gets it off, and it's good. Credit Donnelly for that extra point. Number 7, the holder.
The holder did a nice job. He actually jumped up in the air, still got the ball placed down, and Flynn came through and put it right through.
So East Brunswick cannot afford to rest on its lead. They're going to have to come back and do the job, just like they did in the last drive. Exciting game, isn't it, gentlemen?
A truly exciting game.
Well, we know that the Greater Middlesex Conference, and this is the red division we're seeing here tonight, 2 teams in the red division, is considered one of the better conferences in the state of New Jersey, and you're seeing why. There's a high-quality brand of football being played out there tonight.
East Brunswick will get the ball with 8:26 to go, and surely what they're looking for is a nice sustained drive. All right, Flynn will kick it off. East Brunswick has Harmon, DeVito, and Maloney back deep. This is going to be DeVito. Here's a reverse with Harmon. Harmon will get it up close to the 20.
I think East Brunswick has faked or handed off the ball so many times now that probably what a real fake would be running the ball by the person who actually gets it. But a nice shiver move by Harmon, and he picked up some good yardage.
All right, the ball at the East Brunswick 25, 1st and 10. 8 minutes to go in the game. Harmon, he'll pick up a few.
And he apparently stays in bounds. Clock continues to run.
And Harmon picked up about 5 yards. Let's call it 2nd and 5. 7:35 to go in the game. East Brunswick with a slim 5-point lead. Forte has Trent and Giroux wide left. Here's a delayed draw to Harmon, and Harmon will be dropped for a loss.
Ed Riporti. 5'10", 170, a linebacker making the tackle.
And another big play coming up here. If East Brunswick wants to control the ball.
3rd and 6. They need to control the ball and also give their defense a little rest. Forte.
There's a blitz.
He's being pressured. A screen is set up on the left side here to Harmon.
Ooh.
And just over his head. And a 4th down now for the Bears.
So Madison holds. And probably will get another opportunity here to get the ball if they don't miscue the punt return.
Not to make excuses, but I wonder how much that darkness on that side of the field affected Harmon.
You just don't know, really. Okay, Brian's got to get it off a good kick like he's been doing all year here. And East Brunswick's defense has to settle in.
Again, a high snap. Forte, a high punt. Beautiful. Fair catch by Donnelly. Walsh catches it, but he's not going anywhere.
Okay.
I thought the referee was going to reach into his pocket and throw a flag.
I think so. I was thinking the same thing, Jim.
Well, Walsh is a heady young man. He realized Donnelly had called for his fair catch and stopped, took a few steps and stopped in this track.
Boy, another beautiful punt by Brian Forte puts Madison deep into its own territory on the 23-yard line. And that's the way it ought to be. If they're going to score, they're going to have to do it on their own.
Well, you're going to see two things here. You're going to see Madison Central trying to do that ball control offense right now, and you're going to see East Brunswick perhaps taking some chances to try to stop them.
8:37 to go. Walsh. And Walsh is going to be dropped for a loss.
Well, that's really one of the few times tonight that the Bears have been able to contain Walsh.
Well, I said they're going to take some chances in order to try to stop them. What they were doing before, they were making sure that the defensive ends contain to guard against the pitch. They just got burned on the pitch there, so now they're starting to play just a little more aggressive, just going for the man. And Walsh seems to be the man.
2nd and 9. They say Walsh's forward motion gave him a yard pickup. He's looking to pass for Donnelly. He's got him.
Nice
Donnelly will pick up about 7 yards, short of the first, though.
That was a nice grab.
Nice grab, important tackle. If he could have spun away, and which he almost did, he was gone.
Let's call it 3rd and 1. Ball at the Madison Central 33. This is Bowden.
And that surge of Madison Central's line, which has been doing the job all night, I believe was enough to make that first down.
They're going to have a timeout. I think they're going to bring the chains across. Nope, they'll call it without it. First down, 5:22.
Well, it's character building time right here. You get to find out what you're made out of. I mean, Madison Central has shown that they can control that ball. And again, East Brunswick's going to have to make some big plays in order to stop them.
1st and 10 for the Spartans. Walsh. He's got it. And he didn't make it back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, you're right, Phil. Those linebackers now for East Brunswick are really starting to shoot the gap and expecting Walsh to either carry the ball or pitch it off.
Not only that, the first hit was supplied by Bill Brunet coming in there. So they're pulling out some stops. They're taking some risk by doing so, but they do not want Madison Central to control that ball.
Now, does that leave a pass receiver open if those linebackers are coming in on that?
Well, when Brunet is obviously reading. He's obviously reading. If the guard does certain things, or if the linemen seem to be doing certain things, then he knows it's a run, and he's coming up for it to stop the run. If they look like they're pass blocking, standing up to pass block, then he'll stay back.
Donnelly wide left, 2nd and 10. That's Ampune.
Boy, 7 big yards. 7 yards on that play. And that was just bowling ahead.
4:15 to go in the game. It'll be a 3rd and about 2 and a big 3rd down. And we're going to have a motion against Madison Central. And there you go, Jim, that mistake.
Well, they're consistent anyway. I mean, no, seriously. Every time they seem to really have something going, they end up making either a mental mistake or drawing a penalty some other way. And they're consistent in that sense. And again, win or lose, Bob DeMarco is going to be quite upset with the amount of mistakes that have been made.
Yeah.
It will now be a 3rd and 7 for the Spartans.
I've watched Donnelly on this play. He seems to be the prime receiver for Madison all night long.
And he's been running that little curl pattern. Harmon's on him, as we've said all night. We'll watch it. Clock running, 3:35 to go. And he's looking for Donnelly over the middle. Harmon's there, incomplete. The ball hit the ground.
Well, Jimmy, you called it. Good coverage by Mark Harmon.
Well, a little underthrown, Phil.
A little underthrown, but Mark Harmon was right there. You got to give him credit.
And Madison is going to have to punt. Still too much time left to try a 4th down, or try to go for the 1st down.
Particularly with 7 yards to go.
However, we should be aware of the fake here. That's Flynn and back to punt, John.
Okay, Flynn is back. East Brunswick's not buying that punt formation, though.
Maloney's up.
Oh, he's going to get it away. This is Harmon on the run. Woo! Boy, that makes me nervous.
Well, yeah, my heart was in my throat at the same time there, too. The way Harmon was running towards that ball, there's so many times you've seen it hit off someone's chest and go the other way, but he used his good hands.
Right. You know, it's a wonderful play if it works now, because East Brunswick gets the ball in some safe field condition. Even if they had a miscue right now, it wouldn't be a disaster. But
we have a penalty, Jim, against East Brunswick. Crackback.
Oh dear. Okay, that's 15 yards.
Well, still the idea is for East Brunswick to control that ball and eat up the clock.
Right.
3:19 to go in the game. East Brunswick holding on to a 19-14 lead. Potter comes out wide left now. Trent and Drew out to the right. There's Harmon.
Oh, he broke a tackle there, John.
Boy,
some valuable yardage.
Very valuable yardage. You're going to see, John, you're going to see the receivers spread out wide, but that's only for the purpose of spreading out the defense. Basically, what they're going to do is try to eat up some clock, and if they throw it at all, it'll be a short pass.
2nd and 7 for the Bears. Or rather, 2nd and 3. Pickup of 7 for Harmon. 2:41.
Clock is moving.
Forte, there's Harmon again.
Woo!
Whoa, a step away.
It's the first down, though.
It is a first down.
Big first down.
And Madison Central should know it. I mean, they have to respect the receivers spread out wide, but they got to know that East Brunswick is going to eat up that clock, and they're going to be trying to run that ball off tackle, basically.
Less than 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Bears with a big first down. Forte, this is Harmon again.
Big
Harmon gets to the outside. He's still on his feet.
And there
Mark
he goes.
Harmon.
Oh,
just tripped up inside the 30-yard line of Madison Central.
I'm looking back. I see no flags. Boy, there's a big first down right there.
I'll tell you, a game-saving touchdown as well. Tackle, I mean, as well. Good running by Mark Harmon.
Madison forced to call timeout here. 2:13 left on the clock, John.
Boy, you talk about a run when you needed one.
Right. I'm going to have a little trouble here adding up Mark Harmon's running statistics. You know, he's carried the ball 14 times tonight.
Well, it's almost like it should be. I mean, we've watched him, seriously, Jimmy. We've watched the young man since he was a freshman and whatnot, and we know what he can do, and they have to devise something to get him to get that step. Mark Harmon, Joey DeVito running is a part of East Brunswick's past, and they got to utilize that.
And we should say something about that offensive line. They've had a tough night tonight, and yet they're opening up some holes when they need to.
That's for sure. And you know what time it is, don't you, gentlemen? It is fourth quarter. It is fourth quarter.
You know, we keep alluding to that, Phil, but I'll tell you what, that is definitely a factor. It really is. This is a very important drive.
2:13 to go in the game. The Bears 1st and 10 on the Madison Central 25. This is DeVito. DeVito bulls his way. First down.
12-yard gain.
And I don't want to belabor a point, but Madison Central knows they have to run, knows they're going to run the ball at this time, and you see what's happening here, and you just got to believe that East Brunswick has to have more of that balance.
It's that surge toward the end. We've seen it time and again. Boy, we're under 2 minutes now.
Long count. Here's Harmon once again, right side.
Stays in bounds. And I'm not sure how many times out Madison has. I know they called one after a point after on a touchdown. They called another one right here, so they may have one timeout left.
Jimmy, I think they're out of timeouts, quite honestly.
Could be.
That clock is moving, 1:19.
Okay, you just got to hold that ball.
That's right. Really don't need to pass here.
Forte, long count. DeVito will go back to the original line of scrimmage.
No damage, though.
And apparently Madison Central can do nothing about the clock.
There it goes.
It's ticking.
Down to 50 seconds. But we've had an exciting game. And a delay of game is going to be called against East Brunswick.
A deliberate delay of game.
Well, if you're going to take a penalty, that's the time to do it, and that's the type to do it.
That'll stop the clock with 32 seconds. Third and about 15 for the Bears. Actually, Forte could drop back and drop to one knee.
Well, gentlemen, is East Brunswick going to make it this interesting all game for every game here? We knew that Madison Central was a worthy opponent.
No, it'll be Harmon. Harmon takes a hit on the right side, stays in bounds. Clock is going down, 21 seconds.
Oh, mercy.
And that looks to be, okay,
We have a timeout.
well, let's see, what's the timeout for here?
He must have stepped out of bounds, Jim. No, that was Madison Central.
That was
Their
Madison's last timeout, okay.
Hey, Jimmy, you surprised they pitched the ball?
Well, why? Why not? I mean, you know, they're just going to, oh,
Why
I see, you're
not?
worried about the fumble,
No,
huh?
I mean, just, you know,
Yeah.
you want what you got to do by all means is control that ball, which they have been doing very well in this drive. Anytime you pitch, it's a risk. You know, it's not a big deal, but I was surprised.
I was too, Phil, and I would be surprised if Forte does anything other than drop to one knee. Madison Central cannot stop the clock now. 20 seconds left.
So the Bears apparently with a win here, lucky to leave Vince Lombardi Stadium with a 19-14 victory. And so they're going to go into next Saturday, that's October 10th, back at J. Doyle Field, where the Bears are going to take on Edison.
Ooh, good game.
Should be a good one.
It is fourth down now.
It is fourth down, and regardless, Madison Central is going to have to hustle their people on. Brian with the ball. He's going to keep it. He's going to try to run the clock out himself. And I don't know why you'd want him to take a hit at this point, but the clock is going. Now they'll stop it as they change the ball over to the Madison Central side. 10 seconds left.
And the clock will start right away.
As soon as the teams are on their respective sides of the ball. No huddle for Madison Central for obvious reasons, and here we go. It's down to 7 and a timeout, East Brunswick.
Ooh.
I can't understand that.
Well,
Well-
that gives me time to add up the stats anyway.
Well, but I think there was some confusion, and you certainly, by all means, you don't want your defense confused at this time. There happens to be a player that wasn't on the field running out onto the field now, and it was a good timeout. You don't want to give Madison Central the time to regroup and whatnot because they were in a rush state, but they were one man short, so you had to call that timeout. What they have to do now is just guard against the bomb. We know Ed Walsh is going to fling that thing about 1,000 miles, so he's just got to guard against it.
Well, while we have a moment here, give you the Russian stats. Mark Harmon, assuming that he's not going to get the ball anymore, East Brunswick on defense, ran the ball 16 times tonight and finishes with 82 yards. Joe DeVito had 5 carries for 25 yards, and Forte, when all was said and done, had a net 0 yardage with sacks and a couple of key gains there. In the receiving department, Drew had 3 passes, including the 5-yard touchdown pass. Maloney had 2 catches, including a 12-yard touchdown pass.
Okay, at the snap of the ball, the clock will start. 8 seconds showing. Walsh in a shotgun formation. And there he goes, he heaves it up. It's a poor pass. And that'll do it. 1 second remains.
So look at one more shot.
Tell you, if Maloney could have caught up to that ball, he would have been gone.
Yes, he would.
Obviously, East Brunswick has everyone back deep. 6 men, in fact. Now they have Nugent back there. I guess he has a stronger arm, or they feel he does. Nugent in the shotgun. Looking. Here comes the Hail Mary throw down the center of the field.
Ooh.
Whoa, my God, right through
mercy.
Harmon's hands and Brunick's. That'll end the game, and what a way to end this game.
Really, it was that close. It was that close.
Oh.
So East Brunswick comes away with a 19-14 victory, but not to the end.
Well, those are the little things that you learn in situations. What you want to do is knock the ball down.
Right.
Knock the ball down.
Looks like Mark was going for the interception on that last
Exactly.
pass.
Exactly.
But,
Like any young fellow would.
Your impressions, gentlemen?
I'll start first. I was impressed. It's a 19-14 win, but I have to tell you, Madison Central is a quality team. They offered all the competition. They really played the better offensive game down there. But East Brunswick, as we noted, young team, a lot of young players in there, and yet they had the tenacity to be able to come back and score when they needed to. Brian Forte continues to improve. He had a 7-for-15 night. I don't have the yardage, but 2 more touchdown passes to bring his total to 6 on the year. Mark Harmon, now he's back in the groove now with 82 big yards on 16 carries. I think the Bears are continuing to prove. I think definitely a better game after last week.
Well, but I agree. It's a good victory for East Brunswick. They did capitalize on the opportunities that were presented them by Madison Central. On the other hand, Madison Central, again, Bob DeMarco will have a long weekend because just entirely too many mistakes. One thing seems to be clear, this East Brunswick team, I think, is going to develop into a good team. I don't think they're super team that we had envisioned from the beginning of the year. That's evidently clear, but they will be in every game, and if they're prepared to fight and come back in the fourth quarter like they've shown that ability, they should be able to do pretty well.
Okay, my only comment is that, and it's something I mentioned in the pregame show last week, is that at this point in time, I see East Brunswick playing only up to the level of the competency of their opponent. And the Cherokee game, they play at a certain level, then they came back against Brick Township and kind of played at Brick Township's level, and then again here, Madison Central's level. I think they're a young team, and mistakes have hurt them as well. I think, though, you're right, Phil, when Bob DeMarco goes back and looks at the films, mistakes did them in more than anything.
Exactly.
And even though the score was close, you wonder what would have happened had Madison Central not made those kind of mistakes.
Well, you just subtract them, take them away, and gives you a good idea what might have happened. I keep it. I've been singing a song all week. Where are you, Ted Pazinko and Scott Brenovitz? And I think those are the things that are evidently clear. And that's not meant to denigrate the line by any means. But they're the young fellows. They're often facing teams that outweigh them and whatnot, and they have to be scrappy in order to be in the game. And they're going to have to do that all year.
All right, we see Coach Borden talking to his team.
John, I'm a little concerned. Well, I'm not concerned, but there's an awful lot of pressure on this team. They lost that opening game to Cherokee, and they do have definite aspirations to get into the Central Jersey Group 4 playoffs, but they really cannot afford another loss, realistically. They may be okay with 2 losses, but Coach Borden knows that they need to win every game to get to qualify for the playoffs and certainly to get a home field advantage. So a lot of pressure on this team.
Okay, and as you see the Bears leave the field, East Brunswick improves their record now to 2-1. They'll be home next Saturday evening against Edison, and that should be a good game.
It should be a real good game. Edison will probably be the surprise team of the area here. Last year they were supposed to be a super team, and something happened, and they end up 3-6, but they seem to be on the right track now.
Okay, and we'll be with you at East Brunswick High School for that game. So for Jim Allinder and Phil Hill, I'm John Meggiolaro saying thanks for being with us.